Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Sex Advent Calendar, 25 days of sex education all through the month of December. I am here today with Elias Bean, who is a Master's of Photography student and a sex educator, who is going to be talking with us today about having an affirming relationship with a trans partner. I am super excited for their insight on this, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. It's always nice to connect with other DMV sex educators, I guess. So I identify as intersex and trans, and that is my entry point into this conversation, right?
For folks who are maybe getting into a relationship and have never been with a trans partner before, obviously everyone is different and, each relationship is going to look unique, but what are some starting point suggestions for how to create an affirming relationship with a trans partner?
So I think the biggest point is communication, especially if you've never been in a relationship with somebody who's trans before. You should have these conversations early and continuously. And what that means is from the very beginning, be like, this is what I'm interested in, and I just want to make sure that everything I'm saying and doing is okay. But also being very cognizant of not making your partner do a whole bunch of emotional labor for you. If somebody's interested and y'all are dating and y'all clearly have some sort of connectivity or some sort of spark and y'all enjoy each other and enjoy spending time with each other, of course, your partner's going to want to do things for you and they're going to want to help you learn. However, it can be exhausting to continuously be teaching about yourself and your body, right? So making sure that you have the basics down ahead of time. So you know the terminology, maybe you've done your own research, and then going into more specific conversations with them, hey, so I'm interested in maybe having sex with you at some point. We should probably talk about what that is going to look like. So what is okay to say, what is not okay to say, and going from there. Definitely making sure that if they've requested certain words or if they've requested certain terminology, that you're not changing that. You're not trying out a different word without getting their go ahead. So for example, if somebody calls their parts a cock or a dick, and it's not what you as a cis person may consider a cock or a dick to be, if you say the word clitoris, or if you say I'm gonna eat you out, that can be very triggering for somebody who may want to have heard I want to go down on you, or I want to give you head, or I'm going to give you a blowjob. Because if you say I'm going to eat you out, it implies womanhood, and I know that's not ideal because people equate woman to vagina, but that's the stereotype, and that's the understood connection. And so if somebody who is transitioning and wants their parts to be referred to in a certain way hears that, it can be very triggering for them and take them out of the moment, and then probably sex is ruined, so you should stop.
Yeah. So for folks that might have, for partners that might have a lot of dysphoria around their body, obviously language is really important. What other things should we be thinking about, or what are some strategies for helping ease into that place where we can be naked together and it's not scary and awful?
Right. So, I mean, I think being naked with any partner in general is nerve-wracking, and because it makes you vulnerable. It makes you vulnerable, right? So definitely normalizing that, because I feel there's this excessive amount of pressure put on somebody who's trans, oh, I'm finally gonna get to see what you look like naked, and I don't know what's down there, and I don't know how to handle it. But treating it just like everybody else, and just being yeah, so this is gonna be the first time that we're gonna be naked together, but it's gonna be fine. It's gonna go just the way that every other interaction I've ever had with somebody else naked goes, right? If you've already had the conversation, that's one thing. But if you haven't had the conversation, follow body cues. So if you're taking off shirts and you're not sure where to touch, or you're not sure what's allowed to be touched, go for the safe neutral areas, touch sides, touch backs, touch arms, just play around with the neutral non-orificey things until you know where you're going, until they guide you. Maybe they'll say something, maybe they'll move your hand. Be receptive. So if you start to touch somewhere and you think it's okay and then your hand gets moved, don't take offense, just roll with it. right? Because you don't know what's going through their mind, and you don't know what you could be doing that's maybe taking them out of the moment. So just be receptive and be willing to accept change and learn.
Absolutely. And I like that you talk about the ways that consent can be more than specific verbal conversations as well. I think we don't get a lot of enough nuance about the ways that body cues and physical movements can say yes or no as well.
Right. And not everybody is always going to have vocal capacity. So if somebody can't speak, or if somebody goes nonverbal, you want to negotiate maybe those cues ahead of time. So maybe like having the tap out, or like some people do the ball thing where you hold a ball, and if they drop it, that means stop. So definitely talk about your partner, with your partner, like what that looks like for them. Like, is there going to be a time when maybe you can't consent verbally or can't say no verbally, and what does that look like? I know we jump right to sex because we're sex educators, but I think a lot of the time that there can be ways to be, like I was saying earlier, intimate with a partner without having to be sexual with them, which I think can be very affirming for somebody's gender identity. For me personally, like I enjoy bathing and like having my head played with. So like getting like soap and like shampoo up in my hair, and like having a partner like scrub my head, like that for me is great. However, there's this great series that is written by Elizabeth Brett, and it's called Nonsexual Intimacies, and there's like 5 parts. They go through a lot of different ways that you can be non-sexual and intimate with a partner regardless. So for example, the first one is like hair care, so like brushing, braiding, washing and cutting, especially for I think certain people of color, hair like holds a lot of meaning to them. Taking care of somebody while they're sick is like a really big one. So like making sure that they're taking their medicine, or like helping them in and around the house if they need it. You can do things such as sharing secrets. That creates a sense of intimacy. If you're sharing parts of yourself with someone that you don't share with anybody else, maybe letting someone drive your car. Like that's a level of trust and intimacy that you leave with someone that maybe you wouldn't if it was somebody that you just met. Putting someone to bed, like helping them, maybe undressing them, putting their like pajamas on for them, and then getting them into the bed and tucking them in. Maybe waking somebody up from a nightmare if you can tell if they're having one, or if they're having like a night terror and you can tell. Definitely waking them up and like helping them get through that. And then long car trips, right? That definitely fosters intimacy. So those are some examples.
Any closing thoughts for folks?
I would just say that the only difference between being affirming of a trans partner and being affirming of any other type of partner is just probably you're going to have to like keep a little bit more awareness of the language that you use. But honestly, if you're already in the queer community, you should already be cognizant of your language regardless. So you should always be thinking about what, like, are my words hurting people, or are they helping people? Are they words that people resonate with? Or are they words that turn people off and away from what I'm saying?
That's great. Thank you so much, Elias. This was a wonderful conversation, and I so appreciate your perspective and your time to give us the 101 on being supportive and engaging partners. So thank you for being here. And to everyone at home, please stay tuned. We have more great content coming at you all month, and check out the links below for more resources so you can continue to educate yourself and be the best partner you can.